Welcome to Empowered by Iron, the podcast for female strength athletes by female strength athletes. We are your hosts, Dr. Kristen Lander from Fiercely Fueled Nutrition Coaching and Mary Morton, PhD candidate and weightlifter. Together, we are Empowered by Iron. Hello. Let me start a scenario for you. You're at the gym. You're squatting. Maybe you're deadlifting. Maybe you're snatching. We don't know. All that we know is you're lifting some heavy ass weights and you're enjoying the fuck out of it. Then, out of nowhere, comes someone who decides that they have the power to talk to you about your body. Whether it's positive, whether it's negative, they've decided that their opinion matters. Welcome to Empowered by Iron. This is what we're talking about today. Hello, Kristen.
Hey, Mary, that was good. I like that.
Okay, so let's talk about this. The reason that this is coming up is this week, we all know that Kristen is head coach of Fiercely Fueled Nutrition Coaching. So if you're looking for one-on-one coaching, definitely go check her out. But she's working with a client in particular who had this issue this week. And it has some backstory too, because this client is dealing with a lot of things. So Kristen, can you tell us the story and then we can kind of bitch for a while?
Yeah, well, so I have this client I've been working with for a while, and she is killing it in terms of eating enough food to support her training. She's trying to get strong and improve her performance in the gym, and she is killing it. Like, this girl is setting PRs and doing awesome. And she's basically just eating for strength, right? That's our plan with her. But she came to me from having been in a caloric deficit for quite a while. And so this has been a challenging thing for her, as it is for many people. I mean, it's not just her. This happens. I tend to get a lot of clients who are coming to me from having done like cutting or bulking cycles, or just have been at a caloric deficit forever and ever and ever. Maybe some of that is sparked by this shitty fitness industry that makes us feel like we are.
Whoa.
What?
How dare you say that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, you know how I feel about
the shitty fitness industry. Continue.
Yeah, I mean, right. I guess like we are part of the fitness industry, but I don't like the word fitness at all, because I don't feel like anything we do fits with the word fitness. I mean, we're performance-based athletes. Yeah, right. The other F word. We're performance-based athletes. And so anyway, when you're a performance-based athlete, you can't be at a caloric deficit and get better. So anyhow, this wonderful woman had this unfortunate experience in the gym of, she's, okay, first let me go back. She's put on muscle, and when you put on muscle, your body takes up a little bit more space sometimes for a little while, until everything kind of like evens out. And so you might feel like you're getting bigger, but you're not really getting bigger. You're taking up a little bit more space. And like, sometimes we go through these little fluffy periods and whatever. Anyway, and it can be very mentally challenging. So anyway, homegirl's killing it. Okay.
Well, especially it can be mentally challenging, especially if you've gone through any type of body dysmorphia or eating disorder, right? That makes it even more challenging, which, I mean, a huge percentage of women in the quote unquote fitness industry have gone through some type of disordered eating.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So anyway, this girl who's killing it, she's
killing it.
Right. How many times are we going to say that? A lot. Yeah. Just want to reiterate that.
I just want her to know that she is awesome. That's all.
Right. Me too. So anyhow, someone in her gym asked her a terrible question. And this person asked her, "When are you starting your cut?" What? So, she sends me this text at like 11 o'clock at night. Like, so this happened. And I was like, okay, well, first of all, fuck that guy. Like, who the fuck does he think he is? I think it was a guy. I'm not entirely positive. Anyway, like, who does this person think that they are? Because why, like, first of all, why would you be starting a cut? Like, she doesn't look like she needs to cut at all. I'm confused. And this person might have meant well, and they might also be caught in this cutting and bulking cycle. And maybe they thought that she was like on a bulk, or I don't know. I have no idea why this person thought that, but obviously was not, some good comments for her to hear, as I would kind of, I mean, I my question to her was, so how big was the black eye you gave? I'm not condoning violence, but I was kind of like, wow, really? Okay. So yeah, and I just feel like this is something that really needs to be talked about, because this is a really common thing that people comment on our bodies. And I think that it's worse for female performance type athletes. I think that there's this idea that what we're supposed to look like, or I'm not really sure, or people think
No, no,
like,
no, no, no. It's not even that. It's that I mean, it might be partially that, but from my experience, what I understand it as is when people decide that they need to comment on that, that means that you are not sexually attractive to them and that you need to start changing your body so you are now sexually attractive to whomever made those comments. I
right,
mean, you some people have very weird sexual preferences or some very different sexual preferences. So to some people, you may be totally fine. And then some people, they're like, oh God, when are you going to lose those extra 5 pounds you gained? And you're like, well, they're muscles. So I can't really, I'm just going to cut off my arm. But, it happens. And it doesn't just happen with men too. I mean, for me, this happened a while back when I was still kind of in that disordered eating. I'd recognized that I needed to fix myself. Wasn't really sure how I was going to do that, but I was very self-conscious. I mean, very self-conscious of my body. And one of my friends who, bless her heart, just doesn't know what she's saying, but she wanted to get into exercising and she goes, yeah, I want to get fit, but like, I don't want to look like you. You're too, you're too muscly. Like, yeah,
yes,
you got too much muscle. I was like, well, look, lucky for you, you will never look like me because you're a foot taller than me and blonde. Like, shut up.
yeah,
But at that time, it was so devastating to me because I thought, oh my God, I'm unattractive. Like,
yeah,
because, we still, as much as we'd like to admit that we really don't place value on what other people think of us, if someone walks up to you and say, hey, you're ugly and you're fat and we don't like your presence here, then all of a sudden you're like, no matter how much self-confidence you had, you're like, whoa, what the fuck, man? What the
well,
fuck?
yeah. And that takes me to a point I really wanted to make, is that when people make comments to us about that stuff, it is really important for us not to take anything personally. I'm a really big fan of the book, The Four Agreements. Have you ever read that, Mary? No, you've never read it. Okay. Well, anyway, if you guys have read it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't read it, go look it up. It's the four agreements. And the second agreement is, don't take anything personally. Nothing other people do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality. And and this idea that when you're immune to the actions or words of other people, you're no longer a victim to needless suffering. So that is one thing that I have. It's taken me years. It's taken me like 10 years to get that figured out. And it is life changing. And I would have to say that this goes both ways in terms of not taking anything personally. Like, even when someone pays you a compliment, compliments are great. I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't be giving compliments. Me, it's nice to give compliments, but I can remember when I was cutting from, like, I was a 69 kilo lifter, but I was like middle 69, and cutting down to 63 kilos for Masters Nationals. And I started getting so many comments from people, even in the lifting community, just saying like, "Oh, you look great, and you look so strong," and blah blah. And like, I really was shocked at the amount of comments that I got, and it kind of made me laugh because I thought, well, that's great. They think I look good. I actually kind of think I look anorexic. So, like I recognize that they were trying to pay me a compliment, but I just didn't really. I feel like once we take people's ideas of us and allow them to shape how we feel about ourselves, whether it's positive or negative, it's a slippery slope. And so, if you're going to not accept the negative comments that people make about you, you've got to also realize that, like once you're able to do that, you realize that the positive comments don't like have as much bearing either, because that means that you're actually living your life in accordance to what you want and what you believe, and you have belief in yourself and confidence in yourself. So that was a rant. I'm not sure that made any sense, but I actually had a uh, counselor tell me years ago. We were talking about something, and she said, Kristen, you don't have to believe something that someone says about you. And that like sat me back in my chair for a second. I was like, a what? I don't? And now it sounds so stupid to say it now, because I think like, did I really believe, like, did I think that if someone said like, oh, you're a bitch, that like I really was? Like, no, I'm not. I'm sorry you think that about me, but I'm not one.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I possess the capability to be if I want to be, I think. I don't know. So
Yeah, and I mean, even if you're at that point where these comments don't necessarily bother you all that much, I think there's an art to handling them too.
yeah,
Having people come up to you in the gym, and instead of being super offended, which I mean, you're allowed to be because that is ridiculous. But
right.
instead of taking it and making it almost an argument, you can take it and say, "Hey, look, I get that you probably had no bad intentions saying what you said to me, but in general, it's not okay to comment on other people's bodies. I'm not going to stand here. You can always do this. Like, I'm not going to stand here and tell you have a small chest. All right. Even though you do, but you know, don't do it. It's a good time to start educating people. And it's not your job to educate people. I understand. But I think a little goes a long way. And, it's just such a weird time. I really don't even know how, just don't let things bother you. And that's so easy to say, but it's so difficult to practice. I
Right.
remember, it's not even lifting related. Someone that I work for or work with, there was a problem at my job, and people were saying that people said stuff and that it was kind of rude and sarcastic. And immediately people turned and pointed to me and said, well, you kind of have an attitude. And I said, well, no. I mean, what you're mistaking as an attitude is self-confidence and a drive and me being sure about my decisions and myself. If this isn't an attitude, I don't walk up to people and say, yo, you need to get this done for me like yesterday because you're useless and I'm above you. That's attitude. That's
Right.
not what I have. So I remember that and being like, whoa, 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 whoa. And for about a week, I really tried to like be super nice to people. And that was really difficult, like above and beyond, like, oh my gosh,
Right. Like sugary sweet.
I'll
Yeah.
go get you a coffee. Do you want a coffee? And
That's Mary's fake Southern accent.
yeah. I'm down
Right.
now, y'all. But I remember it shaking me, and it took me a while to be like, no, Mary, you don't have an attitude. You have self-confidence. And pity on them if they think that self-confidence means you have an attitude. That just means you're not easily pushed over. And, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I want I want all of our Empowered by Iron listeners to get to the point where they can, and this is Mary and I included, that when someone says something to you
Do
that
not punch
you
them in the face.
okay, for number one, don't punch them in the face. Number two, that our first reaction should be, wow, something's wrong with that person for them to say
What the
that
fuck is
about
wrong with
me.
you, bro?
Yeah, as opposed to going, oh my gosh, they must think I'm mean or chubby or, something, whatever it is that we are afraid they are implying, as opposed to going, wow.
Their mom didn't love them.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Someone didn't love you enough in life. But no,
Come here.
really,
Let me
like,
give you a hug. Come here, bud. Come here.
but it's true. I think that especially for women who are in some sort of fitness or sports, it can be just difficult if you're having a little battle with your body, you're having a little mental battle with your body between feeling like you're supposed to look a certain way, but also having performance related goals. And those two can sometimes be at odds with each other.
Mhm.
And
Or
then,
even, I mean, even a physical battle.
sure.
We've got a lot of women who also have a very hard time putting on weight. And for people to
Yes.
come up and say, oh my gosh, you're so thin and you're so healthy. And all they want to do is put on 10 pounds.
Yes.
That's another issue.
Yes, absolutely. I had a friend growing up who she was just always really thin, and she's the first person I ever heard. We were young, but she's the first person I ever heard say, like, I hate when people say I'm so skinny. They think it's a compliment. She's like, I don't want to be so skinny. I'm always cold. And
Hmm.
I was like, huh. And so I'm happy that I had that experience as a child, so that I realized, like, interesting, I won't make comments on people's body, and I don't, that's
Well,
just something I learned early on.
I can't pretend that I've never not made comments about people's bodies, not to their faces, but usually
Just behind their back.
usually behind their backs. So I think another thing that we could work on as a community is just, you know what, let people do people and don't think about them.
Well, yeah, definitely. And one of the things too that I like, and I think we made a Instagram post quite a while about it, was that your body is not wrong. It's not too thin, it's not too big, and it's not too muscular, it's not too skinny, it's not too wrinkly, it's not too saggy. It's just your body.
It's
And
just right.
no one else's opinion of what your body is or should be is important at all, because you being happy and having a body that can do things, that can do amazing things. Let's not forget that for all of us that are strength athletes, particularly female strength athletes, we are capable of a whole hell of a lot more than the average person. And not to try to sound egotistical, but it's true. And we can put up with a lot more pain. We can put up with a whole lot of shit. And our bodies are pretty awesome. And so, it just sucks when it all gets dwindled down to this importance that society places on how our body looks, and not who we are or what we're capable of.
Yeah, but
It's a
who
bunch of
wants
bullshit.
that nonsense? You have to talk to people and figure out their personality. I don't got time for that. Uh, so
Right.
if you have any experience with this, we would love to hear from you. You can send us an email at empoweredbyiron@gmail.com. We'd love to share some of your experiences on the podcast. I'm sure you guys have some hella good experiences that you could share with us, and we would love to share that with our audience. If you haven't already, go check out Empowered by Iron on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. And if you wouldn't mind leaving us a review, if you enjoy this podcast, the reviews help us get noticed by more female strength athletes. And we'd love to keep continuing to build this community. Go check out our Facebook group page, Women in Strength Athlete Resource on Facebook. The link will be in the description of this episode below. And finally, if you love what we do here and want to get more involved, check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/empoweredbyiron, again in the description, where you can become a monthly supporter of the podcast, and that'll help us get better equipment and allow us to continue to create good content for you listening. Anything else, Kristen?
That's it, you guys. Stay strong.
Stay strong. Bye.